this will work. Okay. And I hope you could enjoy this nice evening. And it was almost like a Bulgarian wedding, I think. So you know now how it is to marry here in Bulgaria. Endless dancings, good food, nice atmosphere, and much food. And I thank again George Georgiev and his team for organizing this beautiful dinner event. And I wish them Georgie, you know, it is important for ESPD conferences to have options to sit together, to talk together, and not only to hear the whole day presentations. Networking is one of has the same importance in our work, the information and working together. Thank you again. I hope that you all had time to reload your batteries, maybe swimming in the sea, sleeping some hours, and we will have again today an intense program. Yesterday we tried to work more on the concept on social economy enterprises and what does it mean for the employment of persons with disabilities. Today we will work on legal frameworks. It was mentioned many times yesterday that frameworks are important to create stability, sustainability for the sector, and we prepared for this morning two parts. The first will be to look on international frameworks. And international frameworks, for sure, that's the UN Convention, but mainly there are frameworks for funding. So this morning you will receive a lot of expert information, and we have very good speakers again about international frameworks and especially about funding. And then in the second part we are looking more to national legislations. So we heard yesterday that in Bulgaria legislation is on the way, and there will be a special workshop also today for Bulgaria to look on this legislation. And you then will receive three other information about three other national legislations, and in the workshops then we will have the opportunity to evaluate that and to look what would be important to transfer information out of that. And at the end of the day, we will work on what was important from the whole conference, what we should not miss, and how to put it into our declaration that we have guidance for the next years to work to elaborate the concept further. So I wish you an intense day again, day 2, and I ask now the moderator of the first panel, Mrs. Ingrid Pamer from Austria, to come on stage.
So I also try to use this microphone. I also want to start with a big thank you. Actually, I attended several ESPD conferences, and they are quite similar in some points. We are working hard, we are in time normally. We have good evenings and nice hosts, and it was really great with wonderful wine and also physical exercises. So I hope you are fresh now for the morning session. I know it's not the easiest one, and I also know the topic is not the nicest one for us. Actually, we normally prefer to talk about our services, about quality and things like that. So the funding is for the hard stuff. But anyway, I'm happy to be here. I want to just introduce myself a little bit. I come from Austria, from a quite big institution, BBRZ, you won't know, but we are dealing with 3 pillars. One is vocational rehabilitation, one is more employment, so supported employment mainly, but we also have small shelter workshops and a social enterprise. and we also do vocational training. So it covers a quite big range of services we are doing. I personally am working for 28 years now in this field. My company for my organization more than 40 years, and what really accompanied me and all of us during the last decades was funding. It was legislation and the fight and the struggling and the adaptation of the framework we are facing. So I'm really happy to have now a really good board and really good experts, and I think also from my perspective as service provider, it will be great to hear and get a new overview about funding possibilities. So I want to welcome and invite the panel. Actually, I have to apologize one person. You've seen in the program that Thomas Gergab from the Development Bank from the European Council should come. He wanted to come, but actually he apologized on Friday. He's not able to come. He told us that he will soon meet the ESBT team in Brussels and give his input, and I'm sure we will be informed in a good way soon after the meeting. So it's a pity because it would have been really, I think for most of us, not the topic we are really familiar with. So, but anyway, we have a really good experts. I want to say hello to Silvia Manka. She comes, please. Yeah, please come to the panel. She comes from European. So she's a lady. She will talk mainly about money, and we're looking forward to it. I want to invite Arend Piters to the panel. Arend has a big burden on his shoulders. He is in this panel the representative of us service providers and of the social economy. So welcome. I wanted to say hello to a Bulgarian representative. Unfortunately, I think she's not here yet. We couldn't catch her until now. The deputy minister was announced, but she will come, I think, within the next minutes.
Maybe it's me.
Is there some new information?
Maybe it's me.
Yeah, I think we will start anyway. So, is there new information? Sorry, okay. Sorry. So please join the board. Good to have you here, and nice that you came, because it was not so easy for you. I think you got the information quite short time before. So thanks for coming. And we are really also, I think, interested in how social economy works in Bulgaria. These are different conditions than, for example, the conditions in Aren's country. Last but not least, I want to invite Maria Гафо. I don't try to take her own name because I think Maria Гафо works, but the last name is not possible for me. And we're also really glad to have her here on board because she comes from DG Agriculture. So yesterday we had DG Industry, and I think this is really also an opportunity. We all have rural areas. I come from Austria, so it's a topic, and we are really. I'm really interested in how DG Agriculture thinks about this problem and how they see we with social economy could fit in their programs. So thank you. And Maria is also the keynote speaker, so I give the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Ingrid. Good morning to everybody. I want to start my presentation today by thanking EASP for inviting us to come to the conference. It has been really a pleasure to be here with you today. And I also would like to thank the Bulgarian colleagues for their really amazing hospitality. I thought that today, during the presentation, the room would be empty after the big party, but I see it is not the case. And as Ingrid has mentioned, I'm coming from the Agriculture and Rural Development, which is a little bit probably strange that I'm here. But what I will try to present you is a little window of opportunity that we have in our programs, which are specific for rural areas. And I hope that you can make use of this opportunity. And anyway, as Fran has mentioned, since yesterday we are married, so I guess we will see each other more often. So in my presentation, first I will try to explain you what are the main challenges that affect the rural areas. Then what is the situation and what are the possibilities in the current rural development policy. And then what we are proposing for the period post-2020, which is a proposal from the Commission, has been presented some weeks ago, and is now going to be discussed with the countries and with the European Parliament, and then this will be the framework that will be put in place after 2020. So, looking at the situation of our rural areas, and when I was talking to some people yesterday, I see that these challenges that I have presented here, are common to many rural areas of Europe. Of course, the first one is the issue of the population and aging, then the poverty, the situation of jobs in rural areas. Recently, because of the economic crisis, there has been a very big fall of jobs everywhere, and rural areas have been also affected. And last but not least, especially for your sector, the access to infrastructure and services. So, starting with the population and aging, I try to put you there some figures. Some figures about the situation of the population in rural areas across the European Union, in the different countries. As you can see, the red lines are the areas, the rural areas that have lost population. And as you can see, the population was lost mainly in rural areas, I was talking yesterday with a Portuguese lady from the ASPD, and she told me that in Portugal there were many rural areas that 15 years ago were poor, and now, today, they are empty. So, it is something, if there are no opportunities, then the people leave the rural areas. And now, there are deserts, and of course, if there is no people, there are no infrastructure and services, so everything is really connected. I also put you a figure about the average age of farmers in rural areas. And as you can see, the biggest group is above 65 years old. And the young farmers are really a minority. So now, for the future, we try to rebalance this a little bit and try to provide opportunities for the young generations, because we think that this is really important, that we fight against these age differences and this aging. The second issue is the risk of poverty. The risk of poverty, which on average is higher in rural areas than in urban. But I think it is very dangerous to talk about average, because then you can have very different situations even inside of the countries. But if you look, for example, the graphic below, you see on the right side the countries that have very big difference of poverty between rural and urban areas. So on the right side, you have the countries that have much poorer rural areas than urban areas. And there you can identify, for example, the countries from the south of Europe or the countries from the east of Europe. So my country, Spain, is there. Then you see also countries that you would recognize there. The situation is different because, as you see, there are also some other countries where the rural areas are richer. But this is not homogeneous. For example, I was talking to Ingrid that comes from Styria, and she was telling me that inside of Austria, that apparently looks very good, but it is very different from one region to another. So you can have some regions which are quite well, and that have a very developed industrial sector, and some others which are having some difficulties. terms of employment, which is, of course, and several presentations addressed this issue yesterday, of course, we need to provide some job opportunities if we want the people to stay, if we want the families to stay in the rural areas, if we want to have the services, etc. And if you look, the private sector is losing jobs all the time. It's losing jobs, and it will continue to lose jobs, so from agriculture, forestry, but this is also connected to all the sectors which are around the agriculture and forestry. Also, an interesting figure to put, which is also explaining why the young people are living in rural areas, is that the people that do not work and do not study in rural areas is much higher than in the rest of the society. And this, of course, this lack of opportunities makes many people to just to abandon the rural areas and to move to the cities, which is also, of course, a trend which is happening across the European Union and we want to address. This issue, access to infrastructure and services, was particularly mentioned in the workshop that we had addressing rural areas. And it was mentioned in an Austrian example that it is key in order to have a livable rural area, to have the basic services, so to have education, to have health, to have rural housing. If you don't have these conditions, then the people cannot stay. Even if they want to stay, they have to move. If another people need to go to the care center or a hospital and it is not available, then of course has to move elsewhere where he will have these services. If a family has children and there is no school around and they have to travel 20 or 30 kilometers to go to the school, of course they will move to a nearby city in order to have the education. The figure below also puts what is the situation. I don't like again to speak about average, but if you see about the unmet needs for medical examination, and there it is based on a questionnaire sent to people both in rural and in urban areas, and normally, as you see also, the situation is a little bit worse again in rural areas. So this is the situation, the main challenges that we have identified. And then we have currently a rural development policy, which is specific for rural areas and that tries to address social challenges, but also has other objectives. So this is why probably I'm not so often in conversation with you. When I met Luc and Carmen some months ago, we met in our building and they mentioned to us that it was the first time, even if they are based in Brussels, it was the first time that they came to our building. Of course, because we have so many things in Brussels that it's almost impossible to know everything which is going around. But from my side, I really will try to show you what is this little window, and I really hope that you will be able to use these possibilities in the future. First, I will put you a figure about the EU budget, which is going to social inclusion. And there I mentioned 3 funds. So the one which is in purple is the European Social Fund that my colleague Dana presented yesterday. The European Social Fund, of course, is the champion for social inclusion. This is your main target. This is where you will find most of the opportunities. But you have also other programs. That have very, very large budgets and that can also give a number of possibilities. And here I refer to the European Regional Development Fund, which is put in blue, and the Rural Development Fund, which is put in green. So basically, looking at the budget from the European Union going to social inclusion, half is coming from the European Social Fund. 1 quarter is coming from the regional fund, and 1 quarter is coming from us. What it is specific is that our fund is really targeting rural areas. So it is something which is only addressing the social problems of rural areas. As I told you, Luca and Carmen came only a few months ago because they were not aware about our possibilities and our rural development policy. So I just want to ask if somebody knows a little bit how is our rural development policy. No? Just to try to explain it with a simple example. It's like a menu in the restaurant. It's a menu that we give to the countries and to the regions, and we have a lot of plates. And then the countries and the regions, they have to analyze the situation in the rural areas and then propose the plates that they want to take. For example, if they have high cholesterol, they have to take salad. So for example, if there is one region that has poor infrastructure and services, they have to use the measure to put in place infrastructure and services. This is our rural development policy. The current framework is very, very detailed. So for example, looking at the meat, it's like if we have entrecôte, cordon bleu, chicken, we have many, many different types of plates, really, really detailed. And then the countries have to choose among these plates what is more adapted to their conditions. Looking at what the countries and the regions told us that they want to do in this period 2014-2020, we have done an estimation and what could be the output. And according to the intentions of the member states and the regions, 16 billion will be devoted to social inclusion in rural areas. And this will benefit 51 million of rural citizens, which will have improved services, and also 18 million rural citizens that will benefit for improved ICT, internet, etc., services and infrastructure. Infrastructure, it could be small health centers, it could be little schools, it could be roads, it could be simply to have internet at home, etc. Now, I will present you some nice examples that have been put in place in our policy. And I brought a brochure and I brought several examples. I put it outside in case somebody is interested, but I think there are very, very nice projects that I think it is worth to look at them. The first project, and I promise that when I put the project, I didn't know that Ingrid was chairing the panel, but it's from Styria, it's from her region. And it's a project, it's called Green Care. And it's basically using the agriculture and the nice environment, which has clean air, contact with the nature, etc., to provide farm therapy to people that have various disabilities. Sorry. I put also in the corner, it was very hard to make a selection of the projects, so I hope you will have the opportunity to look in the brochure because there are very nice projects. The one I put the picture in the corner, it's a Finnish project that uses also therapy with animals to help the people with a number of problems, like for example autism or depression, etc., because it has been proven that the contact with animals can be very helpful. The second example is from my country, from Spain, from the region of Galicia, and with the rural development policy, the region has or the municipality has constructed a care center for people, providing them, again, this nice environment, clean air, nature, etc. And then the people that have problems in that region, they can go to this center. The third project is from Belgium, from Flanders, and it is a LEADER project. LEADER, I don't know if you know what it is for, but it's basically, it's a bottom-up approach. So it is based on local action groups, which are established in the different municipalities, and then the local action groups, they decide to put in place different projects. So this, I think, it is very valuable because we see many, many examples, very, very good cases of social inclusion from people from the communities that they just sit together and they decide, oh, we have to do the school here or we have to organize this other issue. And in this project, what they did is that they coordinated the different social services that they had in the region, and they, in order to better match the demand from the people and the offer from the different social industries. Because, of course, the different industries and social companies, they have different specializations. So with this coordinating center, depending on the demands from the citizens, they could divert them to the different organizations. Which I think it's quite simple, but it is very helpful. This example is from Italy. It's called Terre e Comuni, and it is for the integration of migrants in rural areas. I mentioned at the beginning that we have this big problem of the population, and on the other hand, you see that also we are now receiving a lot of migrants that come to the different countries. So here we see that there is a possibility to have a win-win situation, but of course it is very, very important that the community that receives the migrants is well prepared and that they want to receive the migrants. So the example I put here is from Italy, but we have also quite many good examples across the European Union from this. This example is again from Finland. This is why I just put a little picture at the beginning, and I think it is very nice. It is a bus which is called Manu Bus, and it is basically to provide support for, especially for the old people in rural areas. So this bus is making a tour across little municipalities and providing healthcare to the people. You have more examples in the website. And of course, I have to present this initiative of the European Solidarity Corps that also I think it's the key for putting us in contact with you. This European Solidarity Corps, it's a new initiative which has been very, very much prioritized by our President, Mr. Juncker, and is trying to facilitate and to support the volunteer and first placements in solidarity activities across the European Union. And I think it is very important because finally solidarity is a core of the European Union value. And it's something that it should be there, but it has been a little bit forgotten. So I think it is time that we recuperate a little bit. So we are also contributing to this program with funding, but also through the normal rural development policy, it is possible if the countries and the regions want to pay the volunteers. So there is two possibilities, either through the program directly or through our program as well. This, what I have just presented, is the opportunities that currently we have, but now we have a new financial framework that is coming after 2020, and I will explain to you a little bit what is the situation for social in the new proposal. But first, of course, I have to put here the report that was produced by EASPD. And this report came after the meeting we had, which I think it was very fruitful, because we said, do you have any proofs that the infrastructure and service are in worse condition in rural areas? And they said, don't worry, we will analyze this and we will send you a report. So it was really amazing because in a few months this report was produced, put in some case studies across the European Union. And I think one important conclusion that is reflected in the report is that for the future financial framework, it is important to take into consideration the need of rural and remote area services development, which of course it is basic in order to have vibrant rural areas. So now, starting with the new common agricultural policy, post-2020, which will be now discussed with the countries and with the European Parliament. If you see this figure there, probably it will be difficult for you to see where is our place. And this policy is covering many issues. First, of course, it is covering the farming community, it is covering the environment, many issues. But there is one priority which is connected to the development of rural areas across the European Union. And then another issue which is also important is this, the budget. It's a very large budget. It has been cut compared to the previous period, but it is quite flat. So even a little piece of this big cake, I think could be quite good. This is the new architecture, which is a little bit complex, so I think it is good also to underline the little window of opportunity. So first, for the future, there is a big effort to try to redistribute better the payments for farmers, to provide more for the smaller ones, And this, I think, it could be also a possibility because there are a lot of new jobs linked to the primary sector in a small scale that could be further developed in the future. So this could be a contribution to more employment. Then, as you see, there are 3 social priorities, and one of them is really referring to social inclusion and growth and employment. one thing which is also quite important is that the countries will need to be assessed looking at indicators. So according to the indicators, if they fulfill the indicators, we will pay. If they don't fulfill the indicators, we will not pay. And there is one indicator which is referring to the number of people from minority and vulnerable groups benefiting from supported social inclusion projects. This is an indicator. So if a country has an objective to benefit a number of people from minority groups and doesn't do it, we will not pay. So I think this is something that could be considered. The second issue is that in the future, things will be much simplified, and the countries and the regions will have more power. So with this message, what I tell you is that we give the opportunities, but finally the decisions are taken at the member states and the regional level. So it is very, very important to do this networking and try to see how this policy is implemented in the national and in the regional level. Again, this is our rural development policy, very complicated with many different things, but these are the measures that I think could be relevant for you. Here you have, for example, possibilities for investments for startup companies in rural areas, but you have also possibilities for training. Yesterday in the session we had on rural areas, it was mentioned that, okay, we pay a very expensive internet connection and then nobody uses it because nobody knows how to use. So there are possibilities to give training to the people, to the old people or to the young people, in order to create websites so that they can sell their local products in the urban areas. And also I put there that there is a ring fence for leaders, so at least 5% of the total has to be spent on these bottom-up strategies, on these local action groups. And comparing to the menu that I presented you at the beginning, that I told you it was very detailed, so you could choose between entrecote, cordon bleu, chicken, etc. Now it's quite simple. So now it's just meat, fish, vegetables, and meat. Before we have 7 different types of investment. Now it is investments. And it's up to the member states or to the country to explain what type of investment they want to do, how they want to do it. This is why it is really, really key to be aware of this and to be aware that the decisions are taken in the countries and in the regions. It is also important to say that in order to take these decisions, the countries have to submit what is called the strategic plans. These strategic plans is basically an analysis of the needs, analysis of the situation, and how they want to address the challenges. And in order to write these plans, this cannot be done just in closed doors in the ministry. It is, according to our proposal, it should be done in partnership with the civil society, and it is explicitly mentioned also in the regulation that the relevant bodies responsible for promoting social inclusion, fundamental rights, gender equality, and non-discrimination have to be consulted. So, in order to make these strategic plans, these organizations have to be on board. And not only this, to monitor the situation, to see how the policy is developing, there is what is called the monitoring committee, where, as you can imagine, the main stakeholders there are the farming sector, etc. But it is also possible for the civil society to be part of these monitoring committees and to have a say. So I have arrived at the end of my presentation, but I really wanted to put this slide, which for me was really, really encouraging, and it is from the white paper on the future of Europe that was presented some months ago, and that sends a very, very strong message. No one should be left behind. And this is the European Union that I want to have, and I guess this is the European Union that you want to have. So, thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, Maria. I think we have now a lot to digest. We got hungry and we fed us a little bit. Actually, I didn't expect from such a big variety, and I think it's even now with the reduced menu not easy to decide where to go. Maybe we can go into detail a little bit later. I want to put, because we're talking about funding, I think I want to put the first question to you, Silvia Manka. Please introduce yourself. I didn't do it very intensely, so please give us a short, maybe not a short, maybe in deep analysis what you are doing in the European Investment Fund.
With pleasure. Thank you very much. So it's a really great pleasure to be here today, and my particular thanks goes to the EASPD Association for offering us the possibility to partially contribute to this very enriching debate, but above all, I'm really here to listen to feedback, suggestions and input that are always fundamental in our effort, let's say. Few words about myself. My name is Silvia Manka. I work at the European Investment Fund, an institution based in Luxembourg, which is part of the European Investment Bank group. When we talk about DIF, we mainly talk about support to the small and medium enterprises that, as we all know, are the backbone of the European economy. I think we can count more than 23 million SMEs across Europe, and they represent more than 99% of the economy, giving rise to 2 out of 3 jobs within the European continent. When I was preparing, let's say, my intervention, I said, okay, I could spend maybe 15 minutes describing what the EIF does to support, indeed, primarily the SMEs, but then I thought it's better than I let the direct beneficiaries of this intervention speak. So, with the support of our great technical team, I will kindly ask you your attention for 2 minutes to look at this video. Thank you.
A spoluvlastníme obchod s dětskými kotičkami. Toto jsou naši synové Gabriel a Alex. Prodáváme dětské kotičky, které respektují přirozený tvar dětské nožky a napomáhají správnému fyziologickému vývoji. Spolupracujeme s dětským fyzioterapeutem, který vymyslel unikátní systém ShapeSign, 6 tvarů dětských nožiček, podle kterého potom vybereme daleko lépe správnou kotičku. Získat finanční půjčku je samozřejmě v České republice hodně těžké, ale nám se to podařilo díky evropské finanční garanci získat půjčku pro začínající podnikatele.
Z toho grantu my jsme byli náhradní.
Takže jsme dostali tuto půjčku, bylo samozřejmě skvělé i z toho důvodu, že jsme mohli najmout další 2 zaměstnance, kteří nám pomohli s celým provozem. Je to celkem docela náročné pro nás všechno tady tohle skloubit dohromady, jak vlastně tu péči o rodinu, a hlavně pro mě jako pro matku a zároveň i jako být vlastně podnikatelkou.
Je fajn, že máme zdravé a krásné děti, které nám dávají energii a jsou plní takové té vnitřní síly, tak oni jsou ten hnací motor.
Momentálně je to náš život, je to naše všechno, náš sen, který jsme si splnili, a naše láska. A 3. dítě.
Thank you very much. So this is a project the European Investment Fund supported thanks to the European Commission and thanks to the implementing partner, because one thing that is important to say is that the EIF does not invest directly or does not extend loans directly to SMEs or final beneficiaries, but we work through an intermediating model. So what is this model? We manage resources on behalf of the European Commission, of the European Investment Bank, on resources from member states and other partners. And thanks to an extensive network of cooperations through banks, through microfinance institutions, through ethical banks, through private equity fund, and so on and so forth, we try to channel this funding into the real economy. So I think we don't have so much time, so I try to be as specific as possible about what the EIF, thanks to our partners, can do in this specific area. Thanks to the excellent presentation of Maria, we heard a lot about financial inclusion, about social inclusion. So what is the EIF journey in this area? We started some 10 years ago in the microfinance space, thanks to the European Commission, on behalf of which we manage a technical assistance program which is called JASMINE, that was supposed to provide technical assistance to microfinance entities. In 2010, we graduated and we managed the European program for the European Progress Microfinance Facility through the European Commission and the bank. And the objective was indeed to enhance the access to finance for micro entrepreneurs and micro enterprises. And actually, the result proves us right. Thanks to this facility that was 200 million, we managed to reach out to roughly 49,000 micro entrepreneurs that were belonging maybe to disadvantaged groups or they were excluded from the conventional credit market. And managing to mobilize an amount of more than 500 million euros. What does it mean, mobilize? Which is indeed also the underlying concept, let's say, of our intervention. It means that for €1 of funding, which is backed by the EU, we managed to mobilize a certain number of euros more into the real economy. So that is the concept of catalyzing also additional resources for the benefit of the real economy. Looking again at the journey, in 2013 we entered into the space of the social entrepreneurship. So for the first time there was a recognition about entities that are focusing on a demonstrated, tangible and measurable creation of social value, namely the social enterprises. A social enterprise is nothing more than an enterprise whose business model tries to respond to societal challenges. So in 2013, we set up, through a number of partners, including the Bulgarian Development Bank, who joined this structure later on, a pan-European structure which is called Social Impact Accelerator, which is a fund of funds that aims to invest in impact funds, who in turn invest in social enterprises across Europe. I forgot to say, sorry, at the beginning, that our type of intervention is based on a pan-European level. So, in 2013, also, the European Program for Employment and Social Innovation, the EASY program, that I believe my dear colleague Dana from the European Institution from the Employment explained yesterday, the regulation for this program came into force, and following that, in 2015, we launched, together with the Commission, the first financial instrument under this program, the guarantee instrument. You've heard in the video the word EU financial guarantee. How does it work? It works in the following way, that the EIF, thanks to the EASY program, will extend credit risk protection to a portfolio of loans that an intermediary, like a bank or like a microfinance institutions, will extend to final recipients. Who are these final recipients? They could be micro-entrepreneurs, they could be micro-enterprises, they could be social enterprises. There are actually these two strands that this program encompasses, microfinance and social entrepreneurship. So in this way, we managed to stimulate a higher volume of lending, and we managed also to include, let's say, in the financial world, let's say, entities that might be excluded or that might not have access to the conventional credit market, thanks to this extra credit risk protection. Then, to continue the journey, you might have heard about the Juncker plan, who came into the picture in 2015. Part of the Juncker plan is the European Fund for Strategic Investments, the so-called EFSI. Why EFSI is important? EFSI is important because thanks to EFSI we managed to reach greater scale and to reinforce our impact, let's say, in this area, in the social impact area. FC is made, let's say, of two key components. One window, which is called the Innovation and Infrastructure window, focusing primarily on infrastructural projects ranging from transport to energy efficiency to social infrastructure to research and development and so on and so forth, which is managed by the EIB. And for instance, to give an example, in Bulgaria, I think as of today, there are 13 projects between other projects which are signed and projects which are under appraisal. The other window, this FC, is the so-called SME window. So SME window meaning support for primarily for small and medium enterprises, including support to micro enterprises and social enterprises. This window is managed by the EIF, and so far, the results, let's say, prove this window to be rather successful, with close to 89% of the amount that we have committed, let's say, close to the target that we are supposed to reach in terms of commitment, which is 5.5 billion. Now, long story short, why FC is important for this for the support to the sector. Thanks to FC, for instance, we have managed to increase the firepower of the instrument I was mentioning before, the Easy Guarantee. So we almost doubled the budget, and we managed so far to reach to a larger number, let's say, of final recipients. Just to give you a few figures, through this instrument so far, we have signed roughly 120 million agreements, and we managed to extend financing to more than 26 final recipients between micro enterprises and social enterprises. FC is also important because it allowed us to pioneer in the new area in the impact investing space, whereas the idea is to support indeed the social enterprises and the social sector organizations to produce a societal impact and also a financial impact, in a sense to support their sustainability. Because we should not forget that here we are in the field of investment, in the field of entrepreneurial support. In particular, in 2016, to actually, together with the European Commission and the bank, we brought forward 3 main pilots supporting particularly social enterprises in their early stage of development, namely from the very beginning, so even the pre-commercial stage, to bring them up to scale to the expansion and development phase. These tools are support to funds that are linked to incubators and accelerators for social enterprises, funding for business angels that are supporting social enterprises, and an instrument, I'm pretty sure you've heard about it, is the payment by results instrument. And it's a kind of innovative way of financing because it allows the public commissioner, let's say, the public or the local authorities to pay for the outcome that a service providers will achieve on the ground, as opposed to extend financing upfront. The upfront financing, so the risk of the overall operations, is taken by the investors. And one of these investors is indeed an EIF, thanks to the FC. A good example of that is a project that we signed last year in Finland. It's called the КАТО Seed, where this project was done in cooperation with a local fund manager called Epicus and other investors, and the Ministry of Economic and Social Affairs in Finland. And the project aims to integrate in the Finnish labor market 2,500 between migrants and refugees. Thanks to this scheme. I'm happy to take questions also offline after that.
Yes, sorry. We have to take care of the time.
Absolutely.
It's my fault because I asked her, I told her it's really important what she's saying.
Yes.
She should take her room, but actually...
If I can just 30 seconds, just to summarize. So what I would like to retain you of my probably boring intervention is the following. That we have developed, thanks to our partners, a diversified toolkit of financing for micro social enterprises. And the aim is to study, let's say, the right type of financing for each stage of development or for each type of business model of the enterprises. At the same time, of course, the role of the EIF and of its partners is to support the creation of the ecosystem. Given that we do work with local intermediaries, as I said, ranging from microcredit institutions that might be very, let's say, focused on the local market, to banks, to ethical banks, to funds, and other type of intermediaries. Our aim is also to nourish, to let the ecosystem flourish. So there is a lot that we are trying to do. There is certainly much more that we can do, and I'm happy to then expand it a bit further later.
Thanks for that. So again, a lot of food for us. I want to continue with the Bulgarian representative. I'm not sure if I can pronounce your name correctly. Snezhana?
Yes.
Snezhana Angelova? Please tell us a little bit about the social economy in Bulgaria and to see how it works on a national level.
Здравейте! Моето изложение фокусира върху няколко акцента, свързани с изпълнението на оперативна програма Развитие на човешките ресурси. Всъщност, аз съм представител на тази оперативна програма, която е към Министерството на труда и социалната политика. В тази връзка ще се спра върху няколко оперативни схеми, които са свързани с социалното предприемачество и с предприемачеството изобщо. Изхождайки от подкрепата, от областите на подкрепа на Европейския социален фонд, оперативната ни програма Развитие на човешките ресурси поставя фокус на подкрепата за предприемачеството в контекста на създаване на работни места. Тоест, ние подкрепяме мерки за създаване на работни места както за самия предприемач, така и за хората, които той ще наеме. И подкрепата на оперативната програма е насочено предимно и конкретно в сферата на заетостта. Тоест не толкова в сферата изобщо на икономическото развитие. Стартирането на бизнес дейност се подкрепя във всички фази, като се започне от предприемаческата идея, развитие на предприемачески умения, подготовка за стартиране на бизнес, достъп до финансиране чрез финансови инструменти, които са по нашата оперативна програма, и последваща подкрепа на вече стартирали такива предприятия, подкрепа на същинската бизнес дейност. В момента в процес на договаряне е програма, операция, подкрепа за предприемачеството, която е с бюджет от 21,5 милиона лева и е насочена към комплекс от обучения, услуги, които да подпомогнат разработката и преценката на предприемачески идеи. Това са обучения за повишаване на предприемаческите компетенции, както на самия предприемач, на новостартиращ бизнес, така и на такива, които вече развиват бизнес. Другата ни операция, която е насочена специфично към социалното предприемачество, се нарича именно развитие на социалното предприемачество. Тя е с бюджет от 51,5 милиона лева и е в момента в процес на договаряне. Т.е. в момента се сключват договори с нашите бенефициенти. Насочена е към както обучения, отново квалификация на лицата, за които се осигурява заетост, социален маркетинг, популяризиране на социалната икономика, оборудване, адаптиране на работните места, на създадените работни места. Подкрепят се създаването както на нови социални предприятия, така и развитието на съществуващи такива. Финансови инструменти, които нашата оперативна програма предоставя, е чрез така наречения фонд менеджер на финансови инструменти в България. Това е едно държавно предприятие, което е създадено през 2016 година и което всъщност управлява финансирането с финансови инструменти на 5 оперативни програми, между които и нашата оперативна програма развитие на човешките ресурси. Ние сме заделили 70 милиона лева за тези инструменти, като те са основно два – микрокредитиране и гаранции. Финансови инструмент микрокредитиране за споделяне на риска е под формата на заемен фонд, който трябва да бъде създаден от финансов посредник с принос от оперативната програма и самия финансов посредник. Финансовите посредници начисляват пазарен лихвен процент само върху своя дял, а частта, която е осигурена от оперативната програма, е безлихвена. По този начин, като цяло, лихвеният процент е значително по-нисък от пазарния. Другият финансов инструмент, това е гаранции за микрокредитиране, при който финансовите посредници предоставят гаранции по заеми на стартиращи предприятия, като тук кредитите варират от 5000 до около 50 000 лева. И срока на кредита е до 10 години. Какво се подкрепя? Подкрепят се придобиване на материални и нематериални, дълготрайни и краткотрайни активи, работен капитал на предприятието, специфично и професионално обучение на служителите или самите предприемачи. Друга операция, която в момента е в процес на разработване, това е подкрепа за устойчив бизнес. Това е операция, която вече ще подпомогне вече стартирал бизнес, ще бъде насочена към осигуряване на менторство, бизнес услуги за развитие и ще укрепне дейността на създадените по оперативната ни програма предприятия. Безвъзмездна помощ по нашата оперативна програма се предоставя също така и по така наречения подход, водени от местно развитие общности. Водени от общността местно развитие. Това са стратегически планове, които различни местни инициативни групи, които са се кооперирали на регионален принцип, разработват стратегии, които включват различни мерки, залегнати в самата оперативна програма, но в по-малък мащаб. В тези мерки на подхода, водени от общността местно развитие, има и мерки, които са насочени към стимулиране създаването на предприятия, включая социални предприятия. За сега има разработени такива планове в 18 общини, които ще се възползват от тези средства. Друго, което мога да споделя като операция в оперативната ни програма, това е транснационални дунавски партньорства за заетост и растеж. Една схема, която промотира сътрудничеството между нашите местни общности и страни партньори от Европейския съюз. Насочена е към обмен в няколко области, към обмен на опит, сферата на пазара на труда, социалното включване, здравеопазване, равни възможности, изграждане на административен капацитет. Тази програма беше доста успешна и в предишния програмен период, и в момента също са изградени много такива партньорства. Това е към момента. Не приключвам ли?
It would be great because I wanted to give the audience possibility to ask questions, and I'm sure there should be a lot of questions, especially to you. So, but I want to bring Arend on board. You know, you are our representative here, and I think we heard now a lot of different needs we can get. Actually, what is the impact of this on your daily work, on the daily work of your institutions? So that's why we are here, actually.
Well, thank you. I should get brief. I've only one point to make, I think. It's good to hear there are a lot of possibilities for support and programs for investment possibilities. But I think if you work with people with disabilities, like most of you do, you need more than just temporary funding. You need structural funding. That's my main point.
Oh, that's great. So you're starting already with your Actually, we wanted to talk a little bit more about it. I wanted to ask some provocative questions. So how this international legislation is coming to you. You didn't take this. You just put your wish for the future. Exactly, I think most of us agree. Actually, I just want to ask one more question to you, Maria. Are there some recommendations in which field our institutions, our organizations could go? Do you have some practical tips or fields where you think this could be useful for us?
Well, I think I would be very, very careful to give you tips because I suppose you know much better than you what you have to do. I think just for example, in terms of our policy, one probably useful thing is try to be involved in these leader groups, these local action groups, because this is what I expect is bottom-up initiatives where the people of the community decide on the projects. So there, I think also yesterday we had a discussion that it's important that the whole community puts forward the projects. So I think this would be probably a good case, and also probably we have also the tool of these startups in rural areas. And later on, if you want, when I will be back in Brussels, of course I'm at the disposal of anybody that would have any questions. If I can do that. Thank you. Thank you.
I promise I won't talk too long. No, related to the question that you asked me, when I speak in conference, workshop, or even in bilateral interactions, I have always the feeling that even though there are possibilities, there are at least, in relation to the funding available on a pan-European basis, there are tools, but sometimes there is a kind of communication gap. So this is what is available doesn't often reach out to the ground. So we are, I think that together with the Commission and the bank, we are really trying to disseminate the information as much as possible. And if I have one recommendation maybe for an entrepreneur that is looking for European funding, is to visit the website of the European Commission, the Access to Finance, and also the EIF website, where for each country we list all the financial intermediaries thanks to which we are acting in that particular countries. Of course, there are intermediaries that whose action, let's say, goes beyond the boundaries of the country. But as a first starting point, I would imagine that one entrepreneur, one social entrepreneur, micro entrepreneur, small entrepreneur, refer to his own country. So this is my recommendation, and on those on the EIF you might find some interesting case studies. For instance, I've prepared a few for today, but I think that we are really literally running out of time. But at the end of the day, what really matters to us is to help European entrepreneurs realizing their dreams, setting up their business, let the business grow, let the business be sustainable, and producing employment, producing financial, producing social inclusion. And we have great examples of that.
So we could have time for, I think, 2 questions. I think Fabrizio will get a little bit angry with me, but Is there some question you want to put? Thanks, Fabrizio. Okay. I didn't see any hands rising, so thanks for your contribution. And I think we will have some times during the breaks also to get some information. Maria is unfortunately leaving, but she will stay in contact. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ingrid, and thank you, Ingrid Pammer. I think it's the first time that I'm an entrepreneur in the social field, that I see there are opportunities to help us to create new businesses. That's good, and we have to explore the opportunities. The second is what Arend mentioned: we need structured funding, we need sustainable funding, and I think that's more a task for ESPD to take over, to develop their policies to come to better structured funding opportunities. So thank you for this interesting panel, and I will now ask Fabrizio Fehr, who chairs the next panel, and we go now to national administrations. So Fabrizio Fehr is one of the vice presidents of the ESPD, and Fabrizio, please take the podium.